So next we are going to discuss about food pyramids. So you all know a pyramid. So when we talk about a pyramid, we recall Egypt. So in Egypt we find pyramids. So what the link between the pyramid and food here? So various energy levels or trophic levels, food levels, are graphically represented in the form of a pyramid, which is called as a food pyramid. So a food pyramid, it consists of various levels, which we call them as trophic levels. You see that the base is broad base. As it is going up, it becomes shorter and pointed. So broader base to the narrower point. The first level, or at the base, the ground level, is occupied by the organisms called producers. So the base is occupied by the producers, and the next by primary consumers, secondary consumer, tertiary consumers. So as we are going up, the number decreases, and this kind of pyramidal representation was done by the British scientist, ecologist Charles Elton in 1927. He has given this pyramidal representation, graphical representation. So basically we have three different types of pyramids. Pyramid of biomass and pyramid of numbers. The third one is pyramid of energy. So now we are going to discuss about the pyramid of numbers and pyramid of energy. Now we are going to discuss about pyramid of biomass, numbers, and pyramid of energy. Let us see what are these. What is pyramid of biomass? What is pyramid of numbers? And what is the pyramid of energy? First, let us look at the pyramid of numbers. What is this pyramid of number? It shows or it denotes. So here also a pyramid is made and with different levels. So at each level, at the base, we denote the producers, primary consumer, secondary consumers, and tertiary consumers. So here, not only the food relation, we are not only establishing the food relation by using a pyramid, by using the pyramid of numbers, we are trying to find the relation between the number of organisms at each level. So if you look at a food chain, if you see the grass, insect, frog, if you see that there, as you are going high in the food trophic levels, the number of organisms, the number of insects compared to the grass is less. The number of frogs compared to the number of insects, it is less. So the number is always decreasing. The number is decreasing. So that kind of number relation is found. So here we use large, vast, few, scarce. Likewise, we use the comparison, comparing the number of organisms in an ecosystem. So here we are using the bars and we are doing it a graphical representation, presenting that based upon the number of producers and consumers in an ecosystem. So we can find out, we can observe one more thing. Here, as we are going up in this pyramid, the number of organisms decrease, but the size of the organism increases. Say for example, you take that aphid. Aphids are very small. If it is eaten by some bird, or if it is eaten by some other insect, ladybird, it is big in size. Aphids are small in size, and the ladybird is bigger in size, but the number is less compared to aphids. Aphids are large in number compared to the number of ladybird. These are eaten by birds. So the number of birds is less compared to the ladybird. These birds are eaten by a hawk. the number of hawks is very less, but the size of the hawk is much bigger than the birds. The size of the bird is bigger than the insect. The size of this ladybird insect is bigger than the aphid. So the size of the organism increases, but the number of organisms decreases. So which is represented with the help of a pyramid of number. Sometimes the pyramid of number may not be like a pyramid even, because if the producer is very less in number, that is only one tree, and the consumer that depends upon that tree is very small in size, then even including the number also it is less, it is not a pyramid. So whatever may be the situation, always we have to write the producers at the bottom. So on the bottom line we have to write the producer, then we go to the consumers, primary, secondary and tertiary. Now let us look at the pyramid of biomass. Now let us look at the pyramid of biomass. What is biomass? So biomass is the organic matter that is formed by the fixation of carbon dioxide by using the sunlight by the process of photosynthesis. So we know that in photosynthesis, carbon dioxide is fixed into organic materials, compounds which form all the plants and animals. The body mass that is called as biomass. You can take all plants, trees and other algae, animals and waste, plant and animal waste, everything, the trees, the wood, the material, the mass which can be burned to get energy is called as biomass. Now let us see, depending upon the biomass, if we make a pyramid from producers to consumers, how will be the pyramid? Will you get exact pyramid shape if you make the graphical representation with the amount of biomass found at each level? So take for example the producers. Large number of plants and trees are there compared to the consumers, primary consumers. So the biomass of the producers is always more. So it forms a pyramid with a base constituting the producers. Plants and trees are large in number, producers. So their biomass is more. Here we are not talking about number. Previously we have seen the pyramid of numbers. Here the biomass of the producers is more compared to the secondary, primary consumer. And if you compare to the secondary consumer, the primary consumer biomass is more. So how can you tell that the biomass in primary consumers is more compared to the secondary consumer? How can you guess? It is always the biomass in primary consumer is more, because the matter present in the consumer, primary consumer, which is taken by the secondary consumer. Say for example, frog is eaten by snake. So snake cannot get the total weight of the frog. Snake cannot get energy from the total weight of the frog, because while eating the frog, some energy is spent for digesting it, and each and every part of the frog is not digested and converted to energy in the body of snake. Many parts are undigested, they are excreted as waste. So the snake is not getting the total complete energy present in the frog into its body. Some amount of energy is lost, because each and every part, each and every cell, each and every molecule of the frog is not totally absorbed and utilized by the snake. So that is the reason the biomass that is transferred from the frog to snake is less. So the biomass of secondary consumers is always less compared to the primary. And in the same way, tertiary consumers, the biomass of the tertiary consumers is less. So it forms a pyramid, a broad base to a narrow top. And we know that always we keep the producers at the bottom, then primary consumer, secondary and tertiary consumer. But if we take this in case of an oceanic ecosystem, in ocean, so the plankton, if you see the plankton, that algae, which forms the producers. So the biomass of the producer is less compared to the biomass of the secondary or tertiary consumers. So if you observe an aquatic ecosystem, there the phytoplankton or the primary producers biomass is negligible compared to the primary consumer or secondary consumers. So if you see the primary consumers, any crustaceans, their biomass is greater than the phytoplankton. If you see the still bigger fishes which eat the primary consumers, their biomass is greater. There the pyramid is inverted. Even then still you write the producers set down. They have less biomass, and the primary, secondary, tertiary consumers, they have more biomass. Then we have an inverted pyramid. So this is the case we observe. In general, when we see the amount, the percentage of biomass is transferred from one trophic level to another trophic level, it is 10 to 20% of biomass is transferred from one trophic level to another trophic level. So if you observe the food relations in a pyramid of biomass, here in every level, at each level, if you find that the organisms in a particular level, they have less body mass compared to their below level. So here they have more body mass compared to this level. And at each level, the organisms, they can convert only 10% of their food into biomass. Only 10% of their food can be converted into their body mass, not more than that. The rest of the thing is dissipated in the form of heat, wasted during respiration in the form of heat, and undigested waste remnants are excreted out. So in this way only 10% is going to the next level, the biomass, and from here 10% is going to the next level. In such a way the biomass, it decreases if we go top into this pyramid of biomass. So here we have an example to study the detailed transfer of biomass at each level in a food chain. So we have selected a simple food chain where phytoplankton, for the formation of 1000 kilograms of phytoplankton by using the sunlight, this is at the first level, 1000 kilograms of phytoplankton is formed. Now the biomass is estimated 1000 kilograms. So if this 1000 kilograms of phytoplankton is used by 100 kilograms of zooplankton, for the formation of 100 kilograms of zooplankton, it is derived from this 1000 kilograms of phytoplankton. This 100 kg zooplankton is eaten by fish, and this could form, this 100 kg of zooplankton could form 10 kg of fish. If the 10 kg of fish is taken, it forms only 1 kg of tissues or mass in man. So by this we can understand that at each level, at each step, 90% of the food or biomass is wasted. 90% of the food is wasted at each level. So for the formation of 1 kg of tissues in man, 1000 kilograms of phytoplankton, see that how much biomass is lost at each level, how much food is lost at each level. So if the top level organism, if it has to get good amount of biomass, then the number of the steps should be less. Then the number of intermediate organisms should be less. If the food chain is very short, having only 2 or 3 members, then the top member will get more amount of biomass. That can be understood by looking at this relation.